Hey guys, Crypto Sunday and a slightly green week. It is slightly. Bitcoin and a lot of the coins are sort of coiling, as they say, sort of very low range and sort of waiting for a big move, really. Could come this coming week, I suppose. But yeah, I made a small move buying £1,000 of Solana. It sort of got into a low point compared to the rest of the market, and I thought might as well sort of put a little bit in. So £1,000 in, I'm up to 612 now. Still sort of buying NFTs with it mostly. Sort of the area that I see a reasonable amount of potential in. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the news. So this is a follow-up, I guess, to the news last week that Tether had a very profitable quarter, and they're now sort of talking about essentially dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin if they carry on making profit. So they say that they have their reserves sort of backed more than 1-to-1 at the moment. The majority of that is sort of cash or US Treasuries, and sort of reported last week that they're earning at the moment $1.5 billion a quarter in profit on that, because they pay obviously zero interest on the Tether and they earn an awful lot of money. And yeah, they're looking to invest 15% of their profit going forward into Bitcoin. So this wouldn't be sort of backing the actual Tether itself. This would be just the profit going into Bitcoin as a little bit of a surplus, and something that they could then, I guess, earn a bit more money on as a speculative bet, and sort of just keep the Tether itself backed by cash and dollars. So as long as the interest rates stay high, this is sort of a decent move from them, and it sort of provides. I did some rough maths, potentially talking about $50 to $75 million a month in Bitcoin buying. So potentially a nice little sort of added buyer now. I mean, 75 million a month would be quite a lot. They already hold 52,000 Bitcoin, so they're not quite up there with MicroStrategy, but 52,000 Bitcoin is rather a lot for sort of somebody that you would generally think just holds cash or treasuries. So yeah, if they start buying $75 million worth, that's decent news. Obviously, this is being compared to the Terra USD UST Bitcoin buying, which I think is a little unfair. The Terra sort of stablecoin was not backed at all. It was algorithmically backed, and they were sort of using some of those funds that they held. You can call them funds; they weren't really funds, to buy Bitcoin, and sort of hope that that would create more of a strong backing for the Terra stablecoin. Whereas, if you believe the audits, some people don't believe the audits. That's a different matter. But if you believe the audits for Tether, then they have 100% of their token backed. So anyone that redeems doesn't cause an issue. They just redeem it out of their cash. So yeah, I can't see that this is sort of an issue, anything like the Terra sort of collapse. Also had Circle, the people behind USDC, talking similarly. They've not quite got to the point of buying Bitcoin yet, but they're certainly diversifying away from US Treasuries slightly into other things. So that's interesting. I can't imagine they would start buying Bitcoin, but Tether are a bit more of a sort of rogue, non-US friendly sort of company, being, I believe, still Bitfinex owned. So yeah, bullish news, I guess. And a lot of smaller countries now have another potential, or a first potential, on-ramp and off-ramp for Bitcoin. Strike, the sort of payments app, is expanding to 65 or more than 65 countries from the current 3 that they offer. Interesting that they actually have their one of their sort of headquarters in El Salvador, the sort of Bitcoin friendly country. First one basically to make it legal tender. And yeah, they're going into sort of various markets in Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean. Sort of the more underbanked countries. Wouldn't say sort of non-banked countries, but yeah, sort of provides them a nice little sort of on-ramp onto Bitcoin, and sort of using the Lightning Network, a potential handy sort of remittance option. A lot of these people sort of in these countries work abroad and they send money back to their home country for their families and that sort of thing, and it costs them a great deal of money using, MoneyGram and services like that. So Strike potentially could do this fee-free, and would sort of provide a little bit of volume, I suppose, for Bitcoin. It'd be people, potentially buying Bitcoin, sending it to the home country, and then selling Bitcoin straight away. So it's not providing new holders necessarily, but certainly volume. So yeah, pretty good. 65 countries, and well done, Jack Mallers. I believe he's 28, which is sort of kind of sickening when you're older than him, but fair enough, well done. Whether this is a coincidence or not, who knows, but the largest internet service provider in Mexico, Total Play, is integrating Bitcoin payments for basically the total population. If they're the largest internet service provider, won't be the total population, I guess, but yeah, using Lightning Network and providing sort of payments options for companies. So whether this is more companies getting away from the dollar, because a lot of these countries sort of use the dollar over their own currencies, but it does all seem to be happening at once. But this is good, and more good news for the Lightning Network, which sort of, I guess, keeps fees low, or lower than it is, with Ordinal's demand pushing up fees at the moment. We want to be sort of pushing Lightning Network, even though obviously the fees does rather help my mining positions because they benefit from the fees. But I think for global adoption, Lightning Network would be sort of seen as a better use. We're never going to scale Bitcoin at 7 transactions per second to worldwide use. So yeah, this is pretty good. Mexico getting on board and on the Lightning Network. So we can push that and scale Bitcoin properly beyond 7 transactions per second. So the rest of the world are getting on board, and the US are still arguing amongst themselves. Coinbase getting sued by the SEC. This is sort of just getting started, but the US Chamber of Commerce has sort of essentially sided with Coinbase and sort of issued an absolute slating report of the SEC acting unlawfully. It's sort of a multiple page report, I think sort of 20-30 pages. And the brief opens with, as it stands today, nobody knows for certain which digital assets, if any, are securities under federal law, which a lot of people have been saying. But again, for a sort of respected US body to be saying this against the SEC is quite strong. They're saying regulatory uncertainty is killing innovation. This is obviously the business party in the US, so they're going to be pushing for that. The SEC is destabilizing the digital assets regulatory environment, violating constitutional due process and fair notice rights, and the SEC's actions are not just harmful policy, they are unlawful. So possibly a little bit strong to be sort of going after them, saying that they're breaking the law. But yeah, it's just sort of creates more infighting, basically. You've got Congress sort of having a go at what they've been doing and sort of how they're running things, sort of regulate by suing people rather than sort of clearing up the rules. So, yeah, be interesting to sort of see where this goes, and certainly the Ripple case. So we've had some altcoin moves, but nothing sort of too much in the bigger stuff. Bitcoin up 0.5% for the week, so that's quite funny. Ethereum up 0.35%, even less. As I say, Solana had a bit of a down move, 4%, so I sort of bought some on the low. Cardano 0.78% down. Again, I know I keep saying it every week, haven't made that switch yet, but sort of getting close, especially with this sort of 4% different, nearly, well, 3 or 4% difference in move. Cardano sort of hadn't done anything that sort of tweaked my interest in the last week, so yeah, still watching. Chainlink down 0.5%. XRP up 10%. So again, not really seen any potential news, but I guess it's just more court case issues. I guess maybe even being affected by the Coinbase case as well. Audius up 5.8%. That had a fairly sort of large drop recently. Polygon up 2.3%, similar, another large drop. Gala 3.3% up. Quant 2.5% down, so that's continuing to drop. Power Ledger 3% up. Basic Attention Token 4% up. Internet Computer is entirely flat, and VeChain 0.5% up. So, as I say, not a huge amount of movement, but fine by me, I guess. Going into sort of the debt ceiling issues, not sure what will come of that. We could get a fair drop, I guess, with everything going down, stocks, bonds, and everything. Or if it sort of gets solved, then probably the complete opposite, everything going up. So we'll just have to wait and see. I do have some more potential money on the side from selling certain stocks, and just a little bit more cash on the side, but yeah, we'll see where we go. So leave your thoughts in comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.